Hey everybody, it's GoblinoX and welcome back to another Magic Arena video. Today we have another Ikoria Lair of Behemoths quick draft, and we've got a couple incredibly powerful green cards in here that I think are definitely the best two options out of this pack. Obviously, the mythic rare Cheville Bane of Monsters is going to be pretty fantastic. 2 mana for a 1/3 Death Touch at the beginning of your upkeep. If your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, you get to put one on one of their creatures or planeswalkers, and then whenever one of the permanents with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and draw a card. So this is great in a deck with a lot of removal because you get to start putting bounty counters on things, and when those things leave the field, you are drawing cards, so you turn all of your removal spells into a 2-for-1, both killing one of their cards and drawing you another card. So Cheville, a very powerful card. Very solid to draft around, but there's also Auspicious Starex, which is an incredible mutate card, probably the best mutate uncommon. It's 5 mana for a 6/6, so even if you don't mutate it, it is above the curve in terms of power level for its cost. And if you do mutate it, 6 mana, you mutate this onto something and you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a permanent, and you put that permanent onto the battlefield for free. Do not have to spend any of the mana that you would to cast that permanent. So really, really good, even if you mutate this only one time, and even better if you can draft a lot of mutate cards and get this trigger going several times. This uncommon is actually even along the power level of Cheville, potentially in the right deck with a lot of mutate cards. So Auspicious Starex and Cheville are both definite cards that could be first picked out of this pack, and I think by far the strongest cards in the pack. It is actually going to be a difficult choice between the two. I do like Auspicious Starex being mono-colored, letting us be really any 2 or 3 colors, and we'll be fine with it. With Cheville, we do have to be green and black to cast them, and it is a difficult mana cost to hit on turn 2, so this is likely more a 3 or 4 mana card, but even there it can give us a lot of value if we draft a ton of removal. I honestly think it's going to be easier to draft a ton of mutate cards than a ton of removal, and this leaves us more open in terms of colors, so I'm actually going to take Auspicious Starex over the Cheville, but you definitely can't go wrong pick one pack wanting the Cheville. Pack 2 here, we do have a solid green-blue uncommon, the Primal Empathy. 3 mana for an enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep. Draw a card if you control the largest creature on the field. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures. Both of these abilities are quite solid, and in a green-blue deck, especially with a lot of big mutate cards, you will pretty often just have the greatest creature on the board. So this essentially is just like 3 mana. All of a sudden, you're drawing 2 cards a turn a lot of the time. And even when it's not drawing you a card, it is giving you value, giving you that +1/+1 counter. So I think Primal Empathy is a super solid follow-up to the Auspicious Starex here. Obviously, Starex being a 6/6 is going to help a lot in having the largest creature on the board. Other than that, there's like Sudden Spinnerets is the only green card, so we're definitely not taking that. Porky Parrot could be solid. It is another mutate card, so it works with Starex on that front, just trying to stack up a bunch of mutate cards together. And this can be a pretty good way to clear things out of the way when you've mutated on it a few times and it's doing 2 or 3 damage to any target every turn. It's also a good way to chip away at your opponent, so Porky Parrot's pretty solid, but I think I like Primal Empathy better with an Auspicious Starex to start off, just if we're going to be in green here. Now we have Flame Spill, a great red removal spell, 3 mana, instant speed, 4 damage to a creature. You can play 3-color decks in this format. I still prefer 2-color when I can, but there is a lot of mana fixing. There are non-basic dual lands in pretty much every pack. You gain life when you play them, and there's one in every 2-color pair. And there are cards like the Crystals here that can add 1 mana of 3 different colors in the different 3-color strategies for the format, and green, blue, and red is one of them. That is called Ketria, I believe. I could be wrong. It has been a while since I drafted the format. I did draft it once yesterday, but it's definitely been a while since I drafted it a lot, so I don't remember all of the triome names. But blue, red, green is definitely one of the 3-color pairs that you can do. So I think I'm going to take Flame Spill here. I think it's enough better than like the second best card, which is between Bristling Boar and Phase Dolphin. I would probably take Bristling Boar before the Dolphin here. This is 4 mana for a 4/3. Can't be blocked by more than one creature, so they can't do any kind of double blocks on it. So pretty solid, nice card to go ahead and mutate onto. So let's scoop up a Flame Spill, see where we go from there. Migration Path is going to be a great mana fixing card and a great ramp card for this kind of green deck here. Helps when we're multicolored to be able to grab multiple different colors of basic lands with this. And if we draw this in the late game, we can cycle it instead of just using it to grab more lands when we don't need them. So I think Migration Path altogether is a super solid card. And I'm happy to take it here. If it weren't in the pack, Frostlinks is a great creature. 3 mana for a 2/2, and you tap down one of your opponent's creatures. So that is great on the offensive or the defensive, so Frostlinks just has a pretty good under the battlefield effect there. Now we have Ivy Elemental, looks solid if we're doing sort of a ramp thing, which we are looking to have big creatures with Primal Empathy, and we're looking to have some ramp with Migration Path, and this card is pretty good with Mutate cards. That's where it really comes to shine. The way that Mutate works is you pay the Mutate cost, put it on a non-human card, and then whatever creature's on top, that's the power and toughness of the stack. So if you put Auspicious Starix onto a 0/0 that has 4 +1/+1 counters on it, like an Ivy Elemental with 4 counters on it, all of a sudden make it a 6/6. Now it's a 6/6 with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, so it's a 10/10. So Ivy Elemental, pretty good with Mutate cards, so I'm happy to take that. Although Glimmerbell as well is solid with Mutate cards. Those are just good abilities to have on a big creature, giving it flying and the ability to untap itself. So Glimmerbell and Ivy Elemental, both solid choices here. I'm going to go with Ivy Elemental. That keeps us firmly into green and leaves blue or red as our potentially secondary color, so that maybe we do end up in just green and red or just green and blue here. Although the Migration Path does help a lot for splashing if that happens. Thornwood Falls is another card that's going to help with splashing. One thing to note here is that we are seeing some Prickly Marmosets going. These are fantastic cards for the red-white cycling deck, one of the strongest, well, the strongest strategy in the format. Same with a Snare Tactician here, pick 6. So it's definitely a potential option to just complete pivot into the cycling deck here because it is looking open. Although I'm not entirely sure how the bots draft, that is just the strongest deck in the format, so if you can end up in it, you're always going to have a great time. So just scooping up like a Snare Tactician or a Marmoset here it's not bad at all. I think if we took a Marmoset last pack, we'd take a Snare Tactician here and then just decide that we're red-white cycling. But the fact that we have Auspicious Starix, just such a powerful card for a Mutate deck, means I'm going to hold strong, I'm going to hold firm here and stay in our Mutate strategy. But man, if I see a late Zenith Flare later, that'll make me quite sad. We'll see. Windscarred Crag, red-white duel, that's not going to help us a lot in our 3 colors, green, blue, and red. I think we'll just take a Frostlinks out of this pack. Solid creature there. It's also not a human, so we can mutate onto this card later. Solid choice. Now we have another Thornwood Falls. Pretty happy to take that. There is an Essence Scatter. This is pretty solid in this format because it does stop all of the mutate kind of shenanigans that are going on. A lot of decks are going to be playing a ton of creatures here and using creatures for their kind of non-creature sort of abilities because a lot of the mutate effects do pretty big things when the creatures enter the battlefield. So Essence Scatter is a good card to have. It's definitely an option here. Yeah, I think it's Thornwood Falls or Essence Scatter. Not a massive fan of the Flycatcher Giraffid. It's just a bit slow, but it could be a nice large creature with a relevant ability, whichever ability is more important to you at the time. I'm just going to go with Thornwood Falls. Now we have Spell Eater Wolverine or Gust of Wind. We're definitely more into green-blue than green-red here with Primal Empathy and Frostlinks in blue. So Gust of Wind, I think, is more of the choice for us than Spell Eater Wolverine. Spell Eater Wolverine can be great in the cycling decks because you can cycle a lot of instants and sorceries pretty cheap, but we're likely to be a creature-heavy deck here in green as our main color, so I don't think this will get double strike too often, just going to be a 3-mana 3/2. And not much else, so we can just take a Gust of Wind here. This card's not great if you don't have any flyers in your deck, because it's never going to be cheaper, but even 4 mana to bounce something and draw a card can be okay. Ideally, we do pick up some flyers to go with this. In worst case scenario, we can just cut it from our deck. Now we're just going to take a red card, I think. Tentative Connection, Forbidden Friendship, or Blazing Volley. Out of these options, I'm just going to take a Forbidden Friendship, because this does give us a dinosaur token we can mutate onto. Now we have a blue-red dual land, pretty great for splashing in red here in our green-blue deck. And Anticipate. It's a fine little filler draw spell here. 2 mana to look at the top 3, put 1 into hand, 1 on bottom. And some cards we're probably not playing, although I guess I'll put a Frenzied Raptor in for now. Yeah, just some not great cards at the end, as always. So our rare out of the second pack is an Extinction Event. 4 mana, choose odd or even, exile each creature with mana value of the chosen quality. Extinction Event is a really bomby card. This can often be a one-sided Wrath. Really, really good card. It's just not something we're likely to be able to play here. We only have Migration Path for grabbing any basic out of our deck, although we can start trying to pick up Farfinders pretty heavily just to be able to splash the Extinction Event. You know, honestly, that's an option. It's not impossible to just splash in an Extinction Event into here, and it is a very powerful card. However, there are some other really great choices for us. Obviously, the Farfinder is going to be good for us. We're going to be going some kind of 3-color deck, it looks like. So being able to grab that land is good. Plus, this gives us a Vigilant creature on the board to mutate cards onto. Humble Naturalist is good at fixing the mana in these mutate kind of 3-color decks. It only adds mana for creature spells, but we're likely to have plenty of those. Greater Sandworm is super great, gives us a big creature to play in the late game, or we can cycle it away if we don't have the mana for it. And this is just a great attacker in the late game, being a 7/7 that can't be blocked by smaller creatures. There's also Boon of the Wishgiver, though, which is just a huge draw spell if you draw it late. 6 mana to draw 4, and you can always cycle it for just 1 early, which is fantastic. This pack overall is really good. Oh yeah, Rumbling Rockslide too. Great removal spell. Damage equal to the number of lands you control for only 4 mana. It's going to be a difficult choice here. I like Sandworm, Rumbling Rockslide, Boon of the Wishgiver, and Extinction Event probably the most. Followed up by some other solid cards. I mean, Naturalist, Farfinder, even Of One Mind is an okay draw spell. Really, really good pack here. What are we, like, really missing on? We already have Ivy Elemental and Starix for, like, big things to ramp into, so we're not missing too hard on that front, even though I would like the Sandworm. We don't have a ton of cheap creatures or a ton of mana fixing in terms of, like, Farfinder stuff, but we have 3 duels that are in our colors, which is great for the mana fixing, so I don't feel we need Farfinder that heavily. I could see just rolling with a Rock Slide here. I mean, we only have Flame Spill for removal right now, so grabbing another removal spell seems great. I think I'm going Rock Slide or Extinction Event, maybe even Boon of the Wishgiver. We don't really have any card draw, do we? We have like 1-for-1 card draw. Like, Anticipate, we spend this 1 card to draw 1 other card. We don't have any card draw that puts us up in cards, except Primal Empathy, which is kind of slow draw. It sits there and accrues value over the course of a long time. This pack is fantastic. I don't think you can go super wrong with anything you pick here. You're going to end up with something great for this deck. I guess I'll go with the Boon of the Wishgiver, just a great draw spell to ramp into, potentially. Trumpeting Gnar seems perfect here. A really good mutate payoff. 3 mana for a 3/3, or you mutate it for 5, and whenever it mutates, you're creating a 3/3 Beast creature token. The Beast creature token obviously isn't a human, so you can mutate onto that with your other stuff if the Gnar dies, so that's fantastic. Unfortunately, we do see the Zenith Flare this time around, the Pack 2 Zenith Flare, so if we did swap into a cycling deck, I think we'd probably be living the dream at this point. I mean, we'd have a Prickly Marmoset, Snarecaster, definitely saw some 1 generic mana cyclers going around. We would have taken like a Boon out of that pack probably. And then there's Zenith Flare here, so we would have a sweet deck, but even the mutate deck, taking a Trumpeting Gnar, we've got a really sweet start to that as well, so see how things go here. And the Savai Thundermanes for the cycling deck too. Starting to get a little sketched out. I like taking an Essence Symbiote here. This is one of the better cheap cards to mutate onto with 2 mana, 2/2, and whenever you mutate, you put a +1/+1 counter onto whatever creature mutated, and you gain 2 life. So Essence Symbiote, really good for what we're trying to do here. We already have the one Boon of the Wishgiver, so now I'm less interested in the second one. Yeah, I'll take an Essence Symbiote. Another Ivy Elemental, solid card to mutate onto. Thieving Otter is great if you can mutate a flyer onto it, because then you can start hitting your opponent and drawing cards. Or if you have anything that gives unblockability in any way, but we don't really look like we're doing that. Yeah, Thieving Otter doesn't look fantastic in here, but Ivy Elemental looks great. We can play it in the early game to have a creature with +1/+1 counters on it to mutate onto, and we can play it in the late game if we top deck it as just, you know, a 6 mana 5/5 or 8 mana 7/7, anything like that. So like Ivy Elemental here. Lord Dracus. Another card to mutate with, and whenever we mutate with this, we bring an instant or sorcery from our graveyard back to our hand. Seems pretty solid here. It's between this, a Wingfold Terran, or a Bristling Boar. Mysterious Egg is a thing you can do if you really want mutate targets, but ideally, anything you're mutating onto should be good enough to do something by itself, and the Mysterious Egg really doesn't. Like, even if you don't mutate all game, the Essence Symbiote is at least a 2/2 that can attack and block decently for the 2 mana it costs. Mysterious Egg is just not super playable because it only works when you have the mutate cards. Drannith Healer, great for that cycling deck here. I'm just going to scoop up Lord Dracus here, I think. Definitely the best card for the mutate synergies. Fertilid's great with mutate decks, and pretty good in our deck because we like this for the mutate ability, and we also like it for the mana fixing ability because we are in 3 colors. So not only is this a creature that comes with +1/+1 counter, so it gets bigger when we mutate onto it, it's also a creature that can grab lands for us when we need them. So Fertilid seems great here. Now Ram Through seems like fantastic removal, but there's also Farfinder. Farfinder, another good mana fixing card that we can mutate onto later. Ram Through, just another good removal spell in a green deck with some big creatures. Have your creatures deal damage to something equal to the power that they have. So Ram Through in this deck should kill a lot of stuff. But we do have Flame Spill and... is that it here? Yeah, I guess we didn't take that Rumbling Rock Slide, so currently we only have Flame Spill for removal. We do want more good instants and sorceries for Lord Dracus to bring back. So I'm actually going to pick up a Ram Through over the Farfinder here. Which is interesting. Usually I wouldn't do that, but I think our mana's looking pretty good without Farfinder. We have Fertilid, 2 Thornwood Falls, Swiftwater Cliffs, Migration Path. Scoop up that Ram Through. Now, what do we have? Escape Protocol, that's just a cycling card. Don't love counterspells in the mutate decks because we're going to be spending so much mana at sorcery speed all the time. We'll rarely be holding up mana during our opponent's turn. Keep Safe, I guess we get to counter removal spell draw a card. I mean, it's something. I don't think we're playing Heightened Reflexes here. Just a little red combat trick. Yeah, I don't love either of these cards. I'm just going to throw one in the sideboard. Wow, Greater Sandworm Wield, as did Humble Naturalist, both solid cards here, but I'm going to go with the Sandworm. Just a great 7 mana 7/7, or cycle it when we can't afford it. Fully Grown, I think, is a better combat trick than the Heightened Reflexes, because this is actually a pretty big buff, but still just a combat trick, so not super exciting. Raking Claw is also okay. Can cheat in a lot of damage, and you can cycle it away when you don't need it. Don't really think I'm excited about playing either of those, but they could be okay. Monstrous Step. Target creature gets +7/+7 till end of turn, and 1 target creature blocks it if able. So this is like great if you have a Trampler out, but otherwise it's kind of just a 5 mana slow removal spell that's easy to interact with, because if you target this with your creature and you target their best creature, they could also just use a removal spell at instant speed and really get you there 2-for-1 I do think it's probably better than Adventurous Impulse and Blazing Volley, but I'm not super excited about the Monstrous Step. I might end up cutting that card as well. Survivor's Bond is solid if you have a lot of humans and non-humans. Right now, I don't think we really have any humans. Yeah, we don't have any humans in this deck, so if you're not getting 2 cards back with Survivor's Bond, it's not particularly great. So I don't think that that is going to be great here. Mysterious Egg also, though, just not awesome, but I'll try it out for now. Potentially we do that. Ooh, I like to see a Bristling Boar this late. So I will go ahead and scoop that up, and I'm not going to play Convolute, but I'll throw it in the side. Ooh, that is a great rare to open up. Gem Razor, obviously a fantastic mutate card, good enough that it sees standard play. However, there are other great cards in this pack to consider. So, Gem Razor here, a 4-mana 4/4 reach trample at worst, and at best we mutate it for only 3 mana. If our opponent has an artifact or enchantment out, we get to blow that up, which is wonderful. I think we have enough mutate cards that work really well when we're mutating them multiple times, like the Lore Drakis, the Trumpeting Gnar, and the Auspicious Stark. So we do want more mutate cards, so we are going to scoop up Gem Razor here. But it is really important to note, Clash of Titans is a pretty solid removal spell. If your opponent has a couple creatures out that are similar in power and toughness, you can have them both kill each other. So if we were like really hurting for removal, we could take this, but I don't think we're doing that bad. We have Flame Spill and Ram Through, and we do have at least one way to bring them back with Lore Drakis, so we do have a couple removal spells at minimum here, so I'm going to take Gem Razor. But Creator Sandworm's also kind of exciting, as is Frostlings. A lot of solid stuff in that pack for us. Now, I think we can take the Humble Naturalist this time around. We're going to be a creature-heavy deck. This helps a lot with the mutate costs on things. It is going to be a human, so we can't mutate onto that, but we got plenty of non-humans. Right now we have 13. We do want more creatures in this deck in general, too. So, Humble Naturalist or Almighty Brushwag are the choices here. Almighty Brushwag, also not that bad to mutate onto, because it does have Trample, so all of a sudden you mutate your big old Starix onto it. Now it's a 6/6 with Trample and the ability to buff itself, so actually both of these are solid. I think I will go with the Naturalist, though. Now we have Pyroceratops, potentially, Bristling Boar, or Evolving Wilds. Yeah, for the 3-color deck, I do like Evolving Wilds a lot. We're definitely green as our core, and it looks like we're splashing in both of the other 2 colors, but going to be pretty equal on those. Maybe actually just a really low red splash, because Frenzied Raptor and Forbidden Friendship aren't that great, so we could end up cutting those. Just go down to like 1 mountain, grab it off of Migration Path, Evolving Wilds, Swiftwater Cliffs, that kind of stuff. I definitely like Evolving Wilds here. We did see Bristling Boar go really late in the last pack, so hopefully we can wheel that if we really want the more creatures for our deck. So we'll see about that one. The Cycling deck would have been sick this draft for sure. We're seeing another Prickly Marmoset here, but we got plenty of good mutate stuff as well, and we can take a Dreamtail Heron or a Cloudpiercer, both solid mutate cards. This one mutates into a 5/4 reach, and you can discard a card to draw a card, but the Dreamtail Heron turning into a flyer and just straight up drawing a card is a bit better, and yeah, I'm going to go with the Dreamtail Heron here. That seems pretty good to me. Now we have another Lore Drakis. We do have 4 instants and 5 sorceries, so that would be solid. The Rugged Highlands would be solid for mana fixing here. I think I'll go with the Lore Drakis. Let's just keep upping up those mutate numbers. Make sure we get all kinds of synergy going there. The more mutate cards you have, the better they all get. It's a very parasitic mechanic in that sense, where the more mutate cards you take, the more you want to take even more mutate cards. You want to be able to just go mutate, mutate, mutate just every turn and stack on to where you're triggering like getting a 3/3 and bringing a card back and destroying an artifact or something like that. So we're going to take that Lore Drakis. We have Essence Scatter now, Spell Eater Wolverine. Sudden Spinnerets does untap a thing, which can get people out of nowhere, but still just a little combat trick. We already have 9 non-creatures, actually 10 non-creatures. I don't think we're going to be cutting anything for a combat trick in this deck. But I don't think we'll cut anything for a counterspell either, because we're going to spend so much mana during our turn. Yeah, we kind of need more creatures. I could just scoop up a Spell Eater Wolverine, because we want a lot of creatures in here when we're mutating so much, and we have like Humble Naturalist that can only add mana for creatures. So maybe we'll end up playing a Spell Eater Wolverine, maybe we won't. We'll see about that. Pretty happy to take a Rumbling Rock Slide here, a great removal spell, dealing damage equal to the number of lands we control. We are ramping up a little bit in this deck with Fertilid and Migration Path, so that can help it do a bit more damage than it would normally. And we're not the kind of deck that can make much use of Prickly Marmoset, unfortunately. So Rock Slide it is. Another Lordrakis. We could just spam those all the time. Still interested in more mutate cards, so I guess that's how it's going to be here. The other cards in our colors are also aren't particularly exciting. Slam down the third Lordrakis. And a bunch of stuff I'm probably not playing at the very end of the draft. Aegis Turtle is a cheap card to be able to mutate onto that holds off the more aggressive decks for a little bit, so that's a thing. Really late Reptilian Reflection for cycling, so whatever bot is drafting cycling is going to be very happy to see that. Although I don't think that the bots just go into a draft pod and play with each other when you're done. Ooh, Rugged Highlands nice and late. Very happy to see that. Okay. So blue, green, and red we are here. Going to be focused primarily on the green, probably splashing in the other two colors. So we're probably going to start cutting some of those mediocre red cards to start here. And some of the mediocre blue cards. So we have 49 cards right now. Do we have any card styles on? Any parallax styles for me to shut off? No. Nice. All right. So probably not playing Mysterious Egg. Probably not playing the Turtle. Probably not playing Frenzied Raptor. Maybe not even Spell Eater Wolverine, although we do have a good amount of non-creature stuff going on here. I do want to keep all the mutators in, so I like Dreamtail Heron and Cloudpiercer in for that reason, and Frostlings is just the best of our blue and red creatures, so I want to keep that in too. Anticipate's kind of mediocre, Forbidden Friendship's definitely mediocre, as is Fully Grown, Monstrous Step, Gust of Wind. We need to cut 9 cards here. Currently we have 21 creatures. We can definitely cut some creatures here. I think I'd like to cut the Turtle, the Raptor, the Mysterious Egg before anything else. Potentially Spell Eater Wolverine and Pyroceratops doing stuff there. Still 18 creatures, still a lot of creatures. Around 17 is like your average. But we've got a lot of mutate going on, so I think that's probably fine. I think we cut the Spell Eater Wolverine, leaving the Pyroceratops, because it has some synergy with mutate cards. And we're going to have, a decent bit of non-creature stuff. Not a ton, but being able to mutate onto something that has +1/+1 counters and trample could be solid. So now we cut 5 cards. Let's see, there's 6 mediocre spells here. We have Anticipate, Forbidden Friendship, Fully Grown, Gust of Wind, and Monstrous Step. I think I want to cut all the blue and red ones first, because we want green as the core of the deck. We want to just make sure every hand that we draw, we have plenty of green sources in it, and the other ones we can try to draw with our mana fixing, or we can draw later in the game and be fine with that. Oh, we actually have to cut all of them. All right. Bam, 40 cards. That's fine with me. I guess we only have 6 non-creatures now, so Pyroceratops doesn't look great. We'll actually cut Pyroceratops as well and put something else back in. Maybe throw the Mysterious Egg back in at this point. How much mutate did we end up with? I mean, if nothing else, the Mysterious Egg's really easy to cast. No matter what mana we end up with, we can cast it. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cards to mutate. I still don't feel like the egg's that great. But I don't want to put the turtle in over the egg because of the fact that it requires blue mana. The cheap cards on your least represented colors, on your like splash colors, are hard to hit when you want to cast them. Like Aegis Turtle, you're only getting like the big benefit of it being a 0/5 in the early turns of the game, so you want to cast this on like turn 1, so it actually blocks their 2-mana 2/2s and stuff like that. Like the later you cast this, the worse it is by a lot for most like 1-mana cards. Although Aegis Turtle, I mean 5 toughness is so much that that's relevant pretty far into the game. In terms of blocking, I don't know. We could play Keep Safe just because we're going to be stacking onto gigantic mutate cards. So just having one random counterspell to protect our gigantic mutate stack could actually be pretty big. Yeah, we'll try that out. Let's actually just run a Keep Safe in here so that when we have a creature that has multiple things mutated onto it, they can't just blow the whole stack up so easily. All right. I think we've got a deck here. Let's make sure that our mana's looking good. I suppose Adventurous Impulse is also an option because this can mana fix us. Look at the top 3, choose a creature or land, put it into our hand. So it helps us dig for our off colors. So Adventurous Impulse wouldn't be bad in here either. But I want to try out the Keep Safe. That's not a card or just a kind of card that I would play super often, but I think this would be the deck for it. We're going to have just big old dorks to protect. So how are our colors looking? 13 green cards, 6 red, and 9 blues. So green, definitely the most, followed by blue and then red. So right now we have 4, 5, 6, 7 green sources. We have 7 blue sources. We have 4, 5, 6 red sources. So we have equal green and blue and then less red right now. We only really need 1 red mana because we just have Rock Slide, Flamespill, and Cloud Piercer. Lord Dracus is hybrid, so we can spend that off of blue. So I kind of want to cut like a mountain and an island for 2 more forests because I think that green is super the most important color here. And I actually would have been pretty happy to have a Farfinder in this deck, looking at it again, so I don't remember what we took over it, but that could have been a bit of a wrong choice there. But Farfinder would have been super solid in here. 6, 7, 8, 9 green sources, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue sources, and 3, 4, 5 red sources. Seems solid to me. I think this is the final deck. This is how we're going to roll. Let's get into the gameplay. My apologies to my friend there trying to reach me when I'm recording. Thought that I had Do Not Disturb on, but apparently I did not. So definitely looks like I just straight ignored them. Alright, we're on the play. We've got all 3 colors. Definitely going to keep it. We have turn 2 Naturalist as well to ramp us up into our other creatures. Seems like a great start to this game. Alright. Cloud Piercer is the draw. Going to be pretty solid to mutate with later. Let's just drop the Naturalist out. So we do have 4 mana on turn 3 here, but we can't mutate onto a human, obviously. They are going to go ahead and Fire Prophecy our Naturalist, so would not matter regardless. No mutating going to be going on here. There is the 4th mana. Because we have the 4th mana to mutate Cloud Piercer next turn, I'm going to run out an Ivy Elemental so we can potentially mutate onto this. And then it will be a 7/6 reach. Really big threat. The thing that scares me is we are against black and red, so with black they could have removal that could just straight up kill our big old 7/6, but if they don't have that removal, this is going to be a really threatening start. And I would still rather play Ivy Elemental than the Frostlings here, because Frostlings has a relevant enter the battlefield effect if our opponent plays any creatures, whereas Ivy Elemental really doesn't. Ivy Elemental still also better in the late game because it could get bigger, but just let that happen. So Dire Tactics is the play. So they're going to kill it before we can mutate, so at least we didn't get just like blown out by that. But now think I do have to just curve out, keep playing creatures on this board. We're going to play Frostlings there, and then we're going to play Cloudpiercer, unmutated next turn. Bushmeat Poacher's the play from our opponent. Ooh. Well, now I just want to mutate a Starix, but it does require 6 mana to mutate this. So I think we just cast Cloudpiercer, and then next turn we can try to mutate Starix onto that. Alternatively, we could just cast Starix right now, and then try to mutate Cloudpiercer onto the Starix. We could then mutate with Starix, like, even if we don't draw land, which is good. The problem is that gives them more time to kill the Starix, because then they could use just a sorcery speed removal spell this turn. I've already used 2 removal, right? Fire Prophecy, Dire Tactics. I like the guaranteed Starix. I also don't like playing into removal. Yeah, Cloudpiercer's also like just fine. Because even if we don't mutate with this, it's a 5-4 on the board. We can start attacking into the Bushmeat Poacher. This is just a 2-4. Can draw them cards by sacrificing their stuff, but doesn't block incredibly well right now. Day Squad Marshal definitely changes that. They have 6 power on their board now, and like 8 toughness. But looks like they just have a mutual destruction anyway. Sacrifice a creature, destroy a creature. So it looks like they did have the removal, so we are glad that we didn't dump out the Starix then. There's a Lord Drakis to mutate with, so if we play Starix this turn and they don't kill it, we can mutate Lord Drakis onto Auspicious Starix, and we can do the thing. Could also play Lord Drakis first. And then again do the thing where we try to mutate a Starix onto it next turn. I think I'd rather play the Starix now. I'm just hoping they're out of removal. They have used 3 now. Because again, we just don't know if we're going to draw the land to be able to mutate a Starix onto the Drakis. And the Drakis doesn't block super well here. They do get to attack in with the Day Squad Marshal if we play the Drakis, because we're not going to do a double block there, I think. Although I guess we could, because Lord Drakis isn't bringing any instants back from our grave right now. We just don't have any in our grave. This is really suspicious. I'm just going to take the 3 and go to 16 here. I don't think there's any reason to put the Starix at risk. 3 damage isn't too much when we're at 19. Oh yeah, they had the Void Beckoner they can cycle to give Death Touch to a creature. So giving Death Touch to the Day Squad Marshal in response to our block would have been really bad for us there. Ooh, Gem Razor's such a great draw. We just go absolutely off now. We can mutate both of these cards and just lose ourselves in the music. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Blow up that Sanctuary Lockdown you just played. Now we get to get a permanent. We got a Lord Drakis. We're going to mutate a Lord Drakis onto the Starix to do it 2 more times. We can blow up another artifact or enchantment, but they don't have one. So bam, now we get a Bristling Boar and a Trumpeting Gnar, and we can even just attack with the Starix now, and if they kill it, so be it. Because we don't have any more mutate to go, so they just block with Poacher and take 2. They go to 16 life. We have all these creatures out against a Day Squad Marshal and 1 card in hand. That honestly might be worth the attack. I probably should push in here. Because, like, what? I have Trumpeting Gnar, Lord Drakis, Starix, and 2 cards on there. So we already have most of our mutate cards are gone out of our deck. We've played so many of them. We only have 1 Lord Drakis and 1 Dreamtail Heron. We have 2 more mutate cards in the deck. I'm going to send in the Starix to get this Death Toucher out of the way. So we can just slam in with everybody next turn. Because it's very unlikely that we draw another mutate card. Now there's 2 left in these 24 cards. So we've kind of done all of the goodies we're going to do with our Starix there. We draw into a Fertilid. Actually a pretty solid draw here. Grab some more lands. So I don't think we attack with the 2 power creatures quite yet. We just send in with both of these. One of these trades with the Day Squad Marshal, and then we get to attack with everybody next turn. Although, if we attack with everybody and they block Lord Drakus with Day Squad Marshal, that's the best card they can just kill. They take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They take 9 and go to 7 life. Could be worth it potentially, but I'm scared they have more removal and they can whittle us down to 2 little creatures if we're not letting trades happen here. So I'm going to force a trade on the attack, or just get the damage in. I don't want to allow them to chip away at our creatures without losing one of their own. Looks like we are going to be trading with the Bristling Boar here. Or unlikely aid, a pump spell of their own, to trade the pump spell into our Bristling Boar instead of the creature. Lurking Deadeye, destroy creatures have been dealt damage, so it's just a 4-2. And we'll pass turn. We're going to not use Fertilid's ability until their end step so that we can hold up Keep Safe if they draw another removal spell. Garrison Cat's the play, a 1-1. When it dies, they get another 1-1. Get a land out of our deck. Got another land out of the deck, so we have 7 mana now. Definitely have enough to keep safe and use Fertilid's ability. They got a 4-2 that trades with our 3-3, and then the 3-3 blocks everything else. It's not fantastic. I think we probably still send in the 3-3. Maybe we wait to actually be able to mutate here. Well, don't love how stable things have gotten after the big swing of the auspicious Narcs here. This only counters spells, doesn't counter abilities, so Spring Draw Trap is relevant removal here. That's super rough. And our opponent can't attack into us well. Yeah, I mean, this is just... We just stabilize here. It's a 1-1 against a 1-1 now. Their 1-1 does get another 1-1 when it dies, but if they attack in, we'll just start trading 1 damage into each other every turn. Because we have the higher life total, that's a good race for us right now. Just a top deck war here. Sonorous Howlbonder has Menace. All of their Menace creatures can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures, so basically completely unblockable. It's going to be pretty bad for us. I could block here just to stop 1 damage and then grab a land out of my deck. So if I want to grab a land out of my deck, there isn't a reason not to block here, but I don't think I'm at that point yet. I still want to save this in case they play like a 4-4 or a 5-5 later. Got to take it all. We can't block the Hellbonder, and there's not a big reason to block the 1 damage. We can trade with the 1-1, but they get another 1-1 anyway. Send in the attack. Down to 10 now. Cycle an Imposing Vantasar. It's pretty bold. I would have just played it if I were them. Get a big old 3-6 Vigilance out here. Bash in. But maybe they have something really powerful to dig to. Boon of the Wishgiver. That is exactly the kind of card we're looking for here. Very great draw spell for us. We have 5 mana, so we can cast an Essence Symbiote and hold up a Flame spell. Seems great to me because the Symbiote can block the Garrison Cat, and the Flame spell can go ahead and kill the Sonorous Howlbonder. They have 5 mana now already, so I don't see a big reason to Flame spell now versus their turn. Because they already have, you know, all the mana they would need, unless they just top deck the way to counter Flame spell. But the only thing I could think of would be a combat trick, and I don't think in white, black, red there would be a combat trick that gives it enough power toughness. There could be one that makes it indestructible. We'll have to find out here, because they had one that gave indestructible earlier. Looks like nothing there, so we do get to just kill the menace creature. Ooh, that would have been a reason to kill it pre-combat there, the Night Squad Commando, so that they can spit out a 1-1 by attacking there. However, a 1-1 not super going to get us when we can play an Ivy Elemental here. However, I kind of want to save up enough mana to cast a Keep Safe if they try to kill our Ivy Elementals. So what do we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can spend 9 on Ivy Elemental. We can make it an 8-8. Holds up 2 mana, holds up our special lands. Yeah, let's get an 8-8 out. We're just going to start attacking with that every turn. I would rather cycle Migration Path than cast it. Not only because I don't want lands right now, I'd like to draw non-land ideally, but also because we're down to 12 cards in our deck. We need to be a little bit worried about milling out now. We need to start pressuring them to potentially kill them here. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle Migration Path in their end step. If they have instant speed removal for Ivy Elemental, this is their chance. Looks like they do not. Dreamtail Heron's a beautiful draw. Dreamtail Heron plus Keep Safe might win us the game here. If they have just an instant speed removal spell, we can counter it with Keep Safe, and if they don't have removal, they're just dead on board to 12 flying damage, and there's the concession. Dreamtail Heron, a fantastic draw to end that game, so we'll start things off with a nice record, 1-0 for the second Ikoria Lair of Behemoths quick draft. Grab a drink here. Alright, round 2 off that 1-0 start. Another pretty fantastic start this game. We do need another green mana if we want to mutate Gemrazor, but even if we don't, we get to play Essence Symbiote turn 2, and then Ivy Elemental turn 3 is just a 2-2. We can also cycle this Boon of the Wishgiver in the early game, just trying to dig towards another green source. So I like this hand here. Opponent starts with a Swamp into a Serrated Scorpion. 1-2, whenever it dies, drains 2 life from us. We did draw the second green source. Beautiful draw for us. I'm actually not going to cycle the Boon of the Wishgiver then. We have 4 mana already. We're only 2 mana away from being able to cast this later in the game. And this is a pretty massive draw spell, drawing 4 cards. Looks like our opponent is on the major mutate deck here with Zagoth Mamba. Whenever it mutates, target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. So if they have a 3 mana mutate card, that's going to be really bad for us if we drop down like Essence Symbiote right now. So do we want to drop down Essence Symbiote? I mean, we get to block these things if they don't have the 3 mana mutate card. I don't remember like a ton of 3 mana mutates at common. I think they're all uncommon, so it's not incredibly likely. Yeah, if we don't play Essence Symbiote, we're just sitting here doing nothing for quite a while. Because then we're not going to play anything turn 3, because we would just be playing a 2-2 there as well. Just go for it and hope for the best. Fingers crossed here. Uh-oh. There's a green common that's a 3-mana mutator. I was not expecting the surprise forest here. And that'll just kill the Essence Symbiote. Seems good. So now we can play Ivy Elemental next turn, so we have something to mutate Gemrazor onto. We do draw another Ivy Elemental. We're taking 4 damage if we don't play any creatures here. But if they mutate again, we're in such a world of hurt. I'm just going to wait till turn 4 and play it as a 4-4. They play a 3-5 now, so 4-4 is going to be a relevant blocker if they don't give it -2/-2. Although if they do give it -2/-2, even though it's big enough to survive that, giving -2/-2 still makes it a weak enough blocker that we're under so much pressure here we're probably going to have to chump block. So they're still in a really good position if they mutate here. No mutate. Alright, I am very happy to see that, because now we're just going to start dumping out Ivy Elementals as 4/4s so that we have plenty of blockers. Yeah, I like playing another 4/4 here, and then we can Boon of the Wishgiver next turn. Just try to stabilize and play bigger creatures than our opponent. Eventually be able to attack in that way. I definitely do want to run out another Ivy Elemental there, though, because I am scared a single removal spell puts us back into a really defensive position. I'm actually going to discard Fertilid here. Because I really want to be able to just cast Boon next turn, and I don't think a Fertilid helps us a lot on this board. Alright, we did draw a forest anyway, though, unfortunately for the Boon. So let's draw our 4. Lordrakis is pretty sweet. We can bring back Boon of the Wishgiver and just really go for card draw here, just mill ourselves out. Lead the Stampede. We'll see how many creatures they get out of the top 5 cards of their library. Looks like just the one Glowstone Recluse, but it's a great creature to go with their Mutate stack there. Getting a couple +1/+1 counters on that, and obviously we have to discard a card. They give something -2/-2. They grab another land out of their deck. Their Mutate stack getting pretty disastrous for us. Just discard one of these mountains. Very monstrous. It also has Menace, so we have to double block if we want to get there. Dreamtail Heron. It's actually pretty awesome here. Because then we get to make a threat of our own and start attacking in. But we're at 12, so I don't know if we can afford to get attacking here. Drakus on Boon of the Wishgiver is not incredible. I think Dreamtail Heron's just the better Mutate card to play right now. I think we throw this onto the Ivy Elemental to make it like a real big blocker and a real big attacker, but we're not likely to get in with it. We have 2 mana left, so we can mutate Lordrakis. We could also just play it as a 2/3 here, but I think saving it to mutate is better. Play an Ivy Elemental for a 2/2, get another blocker out. I really don't like being at 12 without a third blocker here, because this Menace card is a big deal. I guess we like block there. If they kill this, we block there and take 1, 2, +6. They could buff the Brushwag a lot, though. That's a problem. See what happens here. Really just hoping that they don't draw a removal spell immediately. Well, they're immediately looking at the Dreamtail Heron, which has me pretty concerned. Alright, just the plains for now. Ooh, Rumbling Rockslide's beautiful. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lands out. We'll have an 8th land, so we shoot Cavern Whisperer for 8. Brushwag, they can spend 4 to give +3/+3 till end of turn. They have 3, 8. They have 10 mana, so they can do that twice. They can make it a 7/7, so we can just bring that back with Lordrakis and then kill the Brushwag next turn. Rumbling Rockslide's the perfect draw. What a fantastic draw here. Oh my god. That is absolutely wonderful for us. And now we're super happy to just throw Lordrakis on the Dreamtail Heron. Draw a card and bring back the Rock Slide. So they can pump the Brushwag twice, so it attacks in as a 7/7. So I think we still want to hold back the 7/8 for a turn here. But we can start attacking after we kill the Brushwag, because then we can play more creatures like the Bristling Boar, of course. Cloud Piercer's the draw, pretty great. I'm going to play another land for the Rock Slide to do as much as possible, and this should kill it if they don't have another pump spell. Does 9 damage. They've got the 10 mana to pump. Alright, so they do just let it die there. We're going to play the Bristling Boar here, probably rather than use the Cloud Piercer. Although if we don't use the Cloud Piercer right now, they might be able to kill our Dreamtail Heron before we get back Rock Slide again. But I'm just going to send in the Heron here so we can get attacking in. So the Vigilance not reached, right? Yeah, so it's just going to be bigger for the attacks. So it can attack into our Gem Razor well. I guess yet another time I should have played the land post-combat, because now we might want Cloud Piercer. Actually, no, it only has 4 toughness, so Cloud Piercer doesn't block a 4/6 well either. We can double block the 4/6 and only lose 1 creature, though, so that's pretty good. We'll Evolving Wilds to get a land out of the deck. Very few lands left in here, which is good for us. Keep attacking with Dreamtail Heron, keep things safe by keeping all these blockers back. Just firmly in a fantastic spot here. I'm going to go ahead and mutate a Cloud Piercer here. I guess we could have gotten more damage by doing that first. Another little misplay. Discard this. Oh wow, draw Trumpeting Gnar. Seems awesome to me. Just going to hold on to Ram Through here. Because if we mutate Trumpeting Gnar, we don't have the Ram Through mana up, and I don't really want to Rock Slide main phase, and I'd rather make Ivy Elemental as big as possible. They're going to send in the Flycatcher. I'd rather they not gain life, so I'm going to go ahead and Ram Through here. And there's the concession from our opponent. We just get there in the sky since they did not get to gain any life off that attack. So definitely some misplays, some things we could have done better, as always. It does happen. I'm not the greatest player. My brain just works a little bit slower than my mouse clicks. But our deck is absolutely sweet. Definitely carried us there. I think we did a great job throughout this draft of ending up with a real solid deck. So, round 3, 2-0. Once again, the perfect mana base here. Start off with a Frostlinks and maybe make it to an Auspicious Starix. We can cycle a Greater Sandworm to hit more lands here, or to dig for those lands. I guess it isn't guaranteeing us more lands, but it certainly helps. Another great mutator, the Trumpeting Gnar. And I think I will probably be cycling the Sandworm here. We do have 4 lands now. We only really need 6 to mutate Starix, so we're only 2 mana away from doing that. I guess I probably should hold on to the Sandworm here, because it is going to be massive later in this game. So let's get a Frostlinks out first, I think. Actually, no, Trumpeting Gnar, well, if I play Trumpeting Gnar and then they just blow it up with Springjaw Trap, that's pretty bad. But if they spend the Springjaw Trap to kill a Frostlinks, that's not terrible. The reason I would want to play Trumpeting Gnar now is because if I play it now, then I can mutate Gem Razor onto Trumpeting Gnar and I can get a 3/3 and blow up the trap. But that's only if they don't use it immediately, which I think they will on Trumpeting Gnar. I think that's a important enough target that they would just take the turn to get that off the board. And if they have nothing else to do turn 4, they may even just Springjaw Trap the Frostlinks, because that keeps us from mutating well this turn. Momentum Rumbler is the play. Well, I'm glad they didn't kill the Frostlinks, because now I think the play is definitely to Gem Razor, so that they don't have the Springjaw Trap. We just get to kill that removal spell. And I'm probably holding the Gem Razor for blocks here. Although a lot of things can go wrong against a black-red deck when they are attacking with a First Striker. Of course, we saw last game, there's the card that cycles and can give Death Touch to something when it cycles. And that would be pretty disastrous if we block and they have that. So maybe we do just attack here, but we also don't have any removal here to get rid of that, so once it starts attacking as a double striker, that's just like the end of the world here. So I'm going to hold back on blocks, and now they are not going to attack if they don't have something, or they're like a really good bluffer. Yeah, no blocks. They straight up definitely have the Death Touch cycling card. They could also just have an instant speed damaging spell like Flame Spell. Although I suppose they could have just killed Gem Razor pre-combat if they had that, so it's more likely to be either the card that cycles and gives Death Touch, or the like Fire Prophecy, something that just does 3 damage, not quite enough to kill Gem Razor. So now we can kill Bastion of Remembrance by mutating onto Gem Razor. We can also get another creature by mutating the Trumpeting Gnar, so I think that is our play this turn. Because now we're putting another creature on this board and blowing up that Bastion. So that seems really good to me. Momentum Rumbler does attack as a double striker now. So if we don't block it, we take 6. I think at this point we might have to just block Momentum Rumbler with the Gem Razor. We could also just chump block with 3/3 though. Weaponize the monsters. So they can sacrifice 2 of their things to do 4 damage to our Gem Razor. If they have any active treason effects, any effects that steal one of our creatures, that'll be very bad for us as well, because then they can use this as a removal spell. They get to steal our creature, attack with it, and shoot us for 2 damage by sacrificing it after the attack. So Weaponize the Monsters is pretty scary. Definitely a Rakdos sacrifice deck here, red-black sacrifice with the Bastion of Remembrance plus Weaponize the Monsters combo. Of course, if they don't kill the Gem Razor... Yeah, straight up, if they don't kill the Gem Razor, we can blow up the Weaponize the Monsters by mutating again. If Gem Razor somehow survives to our next turn, and we draw another land, Auspicious Sterix can really, really turn things around here. But I guess we can even just mutate a Lord Drakus or a Cloud Piercer and get Weaponize off the board and get another 3/3 chump blocker. Doing pretty good things. Ooh, now we have an Essence Symbiote, so I can play Essence Symbiote and mutate Lord Drakus. That way we get Gem Razor's mutate triggers and we get more creatures on the board. Yeah, that seems like the best play here. That also makes it so we get another +1/+1 counter on the Gem Razor when we mutate. So we actually make it bigger by mutating this time, instead of just blowing up their stuff. They can sacrifice a creature in response to us mutating to kill the Essence Symbiote so that we don't get a +1/+1 counter. Alright. They can still do it. They can still sacrifice the 1/1 to kill the 2/2, but now we're guaranteed to get a +1/+1 counter on Gem Razor at the very least, and gain life. We are up to 18 now, thanks to that. So I definitely think I should have been attacking with Gem Razor earlier, but this turn I'm definitely going to go in with it, because I don't think there's any world in which if they attack with these things, I'm going to block with Gem Razor. So we'll send that in here, get in for 5. We're hoping to just trump block with a 3/3 again, but they could have a removal spell. It's not the end of the world if they do, because we just go down to 10 on board with the 3/3 double striker and the 2/3. This is definitely one of the scariest matchups to be in when you're playing a mutate deck. Any deck that has a lot of removal, like when you're up against black, it's always threatening, but especially when you're up against like red-black, because they could also have, you know, the active treason sacrifice effects with the Weaponize. But we are getting a lot of value out of Gem Razor's ability to blow up their artifacts and enchantments, which is great. So that part of the matchup has worked out very well for us. And luckily they just haven't been drawing the removal for the Gem Razor yet. So I can play an Ivy Elemental, or I can mutate a Cloud Piercer onto Gem Razor. That would give me another 3/3. That's about it. Yeah, give me another 3/3. I can discard a card to draw a card. I think I'd rather just cast an Ivy Elemental here. I don't really like playing a Star X down, because if we mutate Star X onto Gem Razor, we get so many permanents off of that, we kind of just win the game on the spot. Because it's already mutated like a ton of times. I don't know how to see. There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, we'd get 4 permanents off the top if we mutate Star X onto Gem Razors. There's no way we do that. We'll just play a 4/4 Ivy Elemental. We can't attack in now, though, if they just hold all their creatures back. Corpse Churn, mill 3, return a creature from their grave to hand. So they get their best creature back. Cavern Whisperer. Mutate something into a 4/4 menace and we have to discard a card. Probably have to discard a Sandworm now if they do that. It's that or the Proud Wild Bonder that makes it so their trample creatures can just do damage to our face, even if they're blocked. So yeah, they chose the Cavern Whisperer there. That turns Momentum Rumbler into a really scary threat. 4/4 Menace Double Strike. Probably have to go with the double block if they attack with that. As much as I would love to do the Star X thing, if we don't block, we take 8. And if I double block with these two, they can first strike damage the Ivy Elemental away and then deal just 3 damage to the 4/4, so the Rumbler just wins if I double block with these two. If I double block with these two, they can only kill one of them. They definitely kill Gem Razor, which is sad, because then Star X doesn't go insane if we draw the land, but... Oh, no mutate then. Alright, that is unexpected. Rumbling Rockslide, a beautiful draw here. I'm just going to run it out. Get that Momentum Rumbler off the board. That's the only thing we're really scared about. We're at 18 life here, so if this resolves and that leaves the board, we can just attack with everybody. Although if they have a combat trick, they could... Okay, I was going to say if they have a combat trick and we attack in, they can kill the Gem Razor, but they did have to spend the combat trick to save the Rumbler. Obviously that is indestructible this turn, so we're definitely not attacking in now. So, at least that is out of the way here. But the Momentum Rumbler lives to see another day, and Obosh is the play. All of their odd mana cost cards do double damage. So Night Squad Commander does 4 damage now, and Obosh does 6 damage. Obosh is a 6/5. Ooh, when they mutate Cavern Whisperer onto a Momentum Rumbler, we're really in for it then, because... Oh, good lord. Yeah, that'll be an odd mana cost on top. It'll be a Cavern Whisperer, so it will be a 8/4 double strike, basically. That is super devastating. We need a ton of blockers here. So if we cast Humble Naturalist, we know we get to cast the Star X. We get to mutate the Star X next turn, actually. But we could also play a Cloud Piercer and just have another blocker out. Or Cycle Sandworm. I'm going to play Naturalist here, because it gives us another blocker and guarantees the Star X next turn. Alright, Bloodfell Caves. I definitely expect the mutation onto the Momentum Rumbler now, because that'll be an absolutely massive threat. Oh, it's kind of impossible to block, too, because it does double damage wherever they want. They still have to assign lethal. So I think still blocking with Gem Razor and Ivy Elemental will kill it, because they have to say 4 damage to one and then 4 damage to the other. So it would kill both of our creatures, but we would kill the Rumbler. What is this? This is real suspicious. This deck has a ton of instant speed tricks, Unexpected Fangs, Unlikely Aid. They've still got more here. That is really concerning. I really like killing Obosh. I also like chump blocking the Rumbler. I guess Rumbler only does 6 if they don't make it an odd mana cost. They can't mutate at instant speed. So Obosh does what, 6 damage? So we block Ivy Elemental and the 3/3 onto that. That'll kill it. That'll also kill it, but then we don't necessarily have the Star X mana next turn. I think we'd rather block the 3/3 onto there. And then we just take 6. If they give us like plus a bunch, we get hit a lot. But we go to 12 here right now. I think it's safe enough. The way combat damage works is they have to deal lethal to one before they can send it to another one. So they have to say I'm doing 3 damage to the beast or I'm doing 3 damage to the elemental, and then it doubles. They can't like move it around. Give all of them -1/-1. Well, that's super rude. That's 1/2 plus 1/2 3. Still kills Obosh. And Obosh only kills one of these, right? Still, because it does 2 there, then 1 there. Or it does 3 there, then 0 there. Yep. Alright, so that was just... didn't really do anything, I think. Drawn to another Ivy Elemental. Well, we've got the Star X mana, so I think we go with that here. And just go insane again. Auspicious Starks. The pick one, pack one. Just going absolutely ham. And there's the concession from our opponent. The massive, like, 4-for-1 there. It's definitely too much for them. Starks really stacks up pretty ridiculously. So that puts us to 3-0 with our Teamer Mutate deck. A really fun deck this time around. Super fun to just stack these things on and go absolutely ape. Whew. 3-0, super great start to this draft all around. No matter what happens here, we got an average 3-3 run out of this. So we're doing pretty great in Ikoria. Might even be able to hit diamonds in this draft. I was not paying a ton of attention, but it's possible. I think we got a mulligan this. We do really need blue or red mana for this hand. We're not really doing anything. We just play an Ivy Elemental as a 1/1 and hope Ram through does something. I think this has to be a mulligan, unfortunately. This is a lot more keepable. We get our green source from the Evolving Wilds to cast Humble Naturalist. I think we get rid of a Lord Dracus here because we're going to go with a turn 3 Primal Empathy. And yeah, these aren't returning anything right now. Just get rid of one of these. Drop Evolving Wilds and grab a Forest. Opponent is on blue so far. Island will start things off for them. We do draw another land, so Naturalist turn 2 it is. Play Primal Empathy next turn, we just start putting a counter on our creatures every turn. Or if they don't play a creature, we do get to draw a card off of it. Haven't played a creature yet. This does trigger on our upkeep though, so if they play a creature on turn 3, then we don't draw a card. But if they do, we make our Humble Naturalist a 2/4. It looks like we redrew the Lord Dracus, because we did shuffle our deck with Evolving Wilds. So that is a thing. Attack for 1. And I'm pretty ready to turn our Humble Naturalist into a 2/4 here. Although we'll see. Maybe they won't play a creature this turn. I guess if they play a 1-power creature, we still draw a card. They're stuck on blue mana so far, just 3 islands from them. So I actually wouldn't be that surprised if they don't get to play a creature this turn. Could see like an of 1 mine to draw a couple cards. Phased Dolphin, it's a 1/4, so we do draw a card off that, right? Oh yeah, draw a card off the Primal Empathy. Just get that ball really rolling here. So we have 5 mana available with Humble Naturalist. We do need 7 for Greater Sandworm. So we're a little ways off from that, but not enough to where I want to cycle it. Because we'll get there soon. We have 5 right now. We have our 6th in hand. Yeah, I want to play this as a big old 7/7 in a bit, so I'm just going to drop down a Lord Dracus and pass the turn. I'm going to save the 1, though, so that we can actually mutate with something later on. Phase Dolphin does give another creature unblockable whenever it attacks, but by itself doesn't put any pressure on us, so we can just sit here and keep drawing cards off Primal Empathy. Should be a great time. Ooh, Thieving Otter is a great combo with the Phase Dolphin, because now when Phase Dolphin attacks, they give Thieving Otter unblockable. This will hit us for 2 and draw them a card with its ability. So we might actually want to cast our Lord Dracus now, just so we have enough power on our board to triple block Phase Dolphin and kill it. But if we draw more just massive creatures here, we're probably just going to play one of these and use that to block Phase Dolphin if they don't kill it. So we have 1 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. We'll go ahead and play a 5/5 Ivy Elemental. Just a big elemental here to block that Phase Dolphin. No reason to attack with Lord Dracus there, because they can block with their 1/4 and just stop all the damage. And now if they kill our Ivy Elemental in any way, with a Capture Sphere or something to keep it tapped down, we can still block the Phase Dolphin to at least stop that 1 extra damage. So they are still stuck on blue mana. If they're not a mono blue deck, which is what I would expect, I'd assume they want to go ahead and push in that Thieving Otter damage, even if they don't have the removal for Ivy Elemental. They do have the Frostlinks, though, to tap it down, so they get to attack with Phase Dolphin, Thieving Otter at no cost to them, so they do get to draw the card here. But luckily for us, our Primal Empathy has been drawing us cards a little longer than the Thieving Otter, so we are still in the lead in terms of cards drawn this game, but potentially not for long if they can keep harassing our biggest creatures. They do have 2 mana up here. That could easily be an Essence Scatter to counter a creature spell. We have 6 mana available. I think we're just going to drop another Ivy Elemental here. The other option is to play like a Bristling Boar, just to play around it. Play around Essence Scatter, get them to counter something smaller. Doesn't seem terrible to me, actually, because it's just as good of a blocker against the Phase Dolphin. And we don't have to tap the Humble Naturalist to do that. Yeah, I'm actually going to run with the Bristling Boar here. We can also just play Migration Path so that we know that we have Greater Sandworm mana next turn. Alright, looks like no Essence Scatter from our opponent there, so we do have enough power and blockers to stop Phase Dolphin here, but they do still get to give Thieving Otter unblockable, even if Phase Dolphin dies on the turn it attacks. So they do get to draw 1 more card off of Thieving Otter, if nothing else. And if they have a Capture Sphere or something, then they get in for free again. Alright, no attacks. Draw another card off Primal Empathy. Drawn to a Ram Through, that seems super great. Don't have anything with Trample right now, so we're not doing any damage to their face, but we can get rid of their Phase Dolphin. Now that I have a Bristling Boar to block Phase Dolphin, kind of want to just get slamming. And the fact that they didn't Essence Scatter last turn makes me think they don't have one. But they could have a Convolute, like a 3 mana counter spell, so do want to keep our eye out for that. So I don't want to put my defenses all the way down, but it's really not that bad if they draw another card because I'm drawing extra cards every single turn. So I think I am still going to just slam in pretty hard here. They could triple block Ivy Elemental to kill it, but then I get to kill Frostlinks and Thieving Otter, which seems pretty good to me. Ooh, Voracious Great Shark with 1 mana up. We're going to make sure that we can cast Ram Through before blocks then, and just say no thanks. Yeah, that's the creature I control. We're going to damage that one. Alright, I got a little worried because I put full control on. We're going to turn that off now. Shoot the Great Shark before blocks. And I want to just mutate a Lord Dracus onto a Lord Dracus to pick up a Ram Through now. Kind of do. And I want to hold up the 2 mana to be able to cast it. So now we can blow up one of their things right now if we don't want them to counterspell, but I'd rather just hold on to this, so if they play like a bigger creature by the end of the turn, we can kill that instead. I think when they send in the attack, though, we'll try to kill the Thieving Otter. Cycle Avian Oddity to give Frostlings flying. Definitely okay with that. Alright, at this point, there's 16 cards in. I'm fairly certain that they're mono blue. That is by far just my best guess here. They could also just be the unluckiest player in the world. That would be sad. But I think they just went for it here. So I'm going to go ahead and ram through. I'm going to boop the... If they have a bounce spell here, which creature am I less concerned with them bouncing? Probably the Lordrakis, actually. So we're going to boop the Thieving Otter there. If they have a bounce spell to counter ram through, they can bounce the Lordrakis. Looks like a Convolute it is. Definitely happy to get that out of the way on that card rather than a big old Greater Sandworm we're going to cast here. Or Trumpeting Gnar even. We could cast Trumpeting Gnar and Lordrakis to bring back a ram through. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. I honestly don't know what's best here. We have so many just ridiculously good options. I'm just going to keep going with the mutate nonsense. And I'm just going to ram through while they're mostly tapped out. Kill that Phase Dolphin here because it's the best blocker. And just send in. They do have to chump block there or they die. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good option, but like Sandworm's fine too. Primal Empathy really supported us this game, just giving us so many things to do at all times by keeping us fully stocked on cards in hand. Very great showing from Primal Empathy this game. And our opponent has 4 cards in hand. They're at 3 life. I don't remember all that's in this format, but I'm sure there's potentially something that could save them here for a turn at least. There are some like random bounce spells and stuff. Maybe they could return all our creatures to hand or something. But I don't remember one that would do it here. Alright, and there is the concession that leads us into 4-0. No losses yet. If we win the next 3 games, if we 7-0 this draft, we can hit Diamond in this one. That is very unlikely, but I'm feeling good about this deck. I think this could make it to 7 wins, and I'm going to do my best to get there. Don't know about the 7-0, though. But 4 wins, we're already at a great record. 4-3 is the worst we can do here. Absolutely phenomenal showing from the green, red, blue mutate deck. So this hand's a little risky. We do really need to hit 1 more mana. If we hit any other land, and we can get Primal Empathy onto the board, but Primal Empathy is not so good without a creature out, and we need a blue source to get a creature out. Or we need 4 mana. Opponent goes first, so we draw on our first turn. I think because of that, I'm going to keep it. It's definitely a bit risky, but the potential payoff here is massive. We have great cards in our hand. The general power level of what we can do here is very high. So our opponent starts with 2 mountains. Could be against the mono-red deck this time around. They start with a Drannith Stinger. That does have me all kinds of worried. We are finally up against a red-white cycling deck. I was very worried that this was going to happen, and we haven't seen it happen yet out of our first quick draft and this next one that we're 4 games into. So I think it's about time. I think we're seeing a cycling deck here. They're red-white with Janeth Stinger out. We'll have to see what happens here. We might get Zenith flared in the face for like 10 damage to close out this game later. Gonna run out our Lord Drakis so that we have a creature to mutate onto, or at least a creature to draw cards with Primal Empathy with. Get our game started. It's also a 2/3, so it does have 3 toughness to block that Janeth Stinger. And they do have another Go for Blood here, the 1-mana cycling card, imposing Vantisar, a 1-mana cycling card. Straight up, here we are against the best deck in the format. We'll see how well they have drafted here, how many of the powerhouses they have available. So, with 4 mana up, we can just cast Gemrazor because they don't have any artifacts or enchantments out anyway. But I can also hold off on Gemrazor because I can mutate Gemrazor onto a Lord Drakis and bring back one of our removal spells, which seems great. I could just cast a Primal Empathy, then we get to turn Lord Drakis into a 3/4 on our next turn. But I don't get to hold up any removal if I do that, and I kind of want to kill one of their cards. I think I'm just going to play a land here and go for a Flame Spill, potentially Gemrazor next turn, because then I can Gemrazor and Ram through on the next turn. They're going to attack all. Well, I'm going to do the block with the Lord Drakis here, and if they do any kind of combat trick, I can respond with my own burn spell to save it. +2/+2 till end of turn. If it's blocking, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So we can kill it with Flame Spill in response before that resolves. That way, even if they have another +2/+2, it'll die here. Yeah, I think that seems good to me. And we take 4 damage here, going down to 14. Go to our turn. So now I can Gemrazor and Ram through. I think that's the play. Gemrazor brings back Flame Spill, so we have more removal available, which is awesome. We're not blowing anything up with our ability, but we are getting a 4/4 blocker, big enough to block any of that. And of course a removal spell able to kill their Day Squad Marshal. And I'm actually just going to hold on to the Ram through, because we don't have to do it right now. If we just hold back Gemrazor for blocks, which I think is just what I'm going for here. If they draw into a Zenith Flare, they're already at 4, which is scary. Zenith Flare 4 damage to any target and gain 4 life right now. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. I shouldn't have said a word. We're going to go ahead and kill that Day Squad Marshal while we still can then. Puts them down to just a 1/1 on their board, so... We've got a pretty good hand here because we have Boon of the Wishgiver coming up as soon as we hit our second blue, which Thornwood Falls does give us. So we can just play a Dreamtail Heron here, and it's big enough to block that 1/1. If they don't have more removal in hand, we've got a pretty good way to stabilize here. We got a huge draw spell, and even Primal Empathy drawing us a card every turn. We've got a Flame Spell, we have another backup removal spell. If they play a threatening creature like a Snarecaster or a Prickly Marmoset. Shredded Sails, unfortunately the main deckable flying hating card because of the fact that it cycles. Always unfortunate to get hit by that. Here we're definitely going to Boon. Well, not the greatest boon ever, but we did get a creature, which is all we need to stop the 1/1 from hitting us. And it's a good creature. If we get any other mutate, we've got plenty in the grave now to start bringing back. We have Ram Through and Boon, and of course we'll have a Flame Spill as soon as we cast that. And we are going to kill the heck out of the Sebai Thundermane, so we will have a Flame Spill in grave. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll have 8 mana out. We don't have enough mana to play Lord Drakis, Flame Spill, and Primal Empathy here. So I think we just play Lord Drakis and Flame Spill, so we can kill the Thundermane and we can get a blocker out for the 1/1. Stop as much damage as possible. They do have a Blitz of the Thunder Raptor to kill that, so we are still taking 1 a turn here. Forbidden Friendship taking 3 a turn now, 2 right now, and then 3 every other turn. And Cloud Piercer to mutate onto the Hasting Dinosaur token there. That's a rough one. Keep safe. A terrible draw here. Now we are just dead on board. Unfortunate there. Really great stuff from the cycling deck. Very destructive game there. About what I would expect in that matchup. But I think we got really close to stabilizing there. I think if our boon just hit a little more creatures there, we had just one of our like big creatures like Ivy Elemental, we could have had a big enough blocker to where even that big swing at the end there couldn't chip back into us. But didn't quite get there that time around. So we'll head into round 6 here. Well, pretty great mana here. Great mutating shenanigans with Trumpeting Gnar. We have a removal spell. I will keep this. Opponent starts with a Swamp into Serrated Scorpion. We also draw into Gem Razor here. Wonderful stuff. Let's start with that Rugged Highlands because we do have an untapped blue source to play later. If we really need the blue mana. And both of these make green. Do we have a 2-drop to play? No, just keep safe or ram through. Neither of those we are going to cast. So we'll play our tapped land here as well. Kind of want to start things off with Trumpeting Gnar, but I feel like that'll just draw a removal spell and leave the board. But if it doesn't, it's going to be great. Lord Drakus isn't going to do anything if we mutate that. Or mutate onto that. We'll play Lord Drakus and mutate Gem Razor onto it, and we don't get anything from either of the mutate triggers. So I like Trumpeting Gnar the best, because if it does survive, we're getting a pretty good benefit from mutating onto that. If it doesn't survive, we will be sad. Alright, Dead Weight. They'll have to use another removal spell to get rid of it entirely. Alright, looks like they're just wanting to get aggressive here. We take 3, go down to 17. And they're going to start ramping up with a Fertilid, grabbing a blue there. We have another Lord Drakus. I think having 2 Lord Drakus here makes me kind of want to just put a Lord Drakus onto this rather than a Gem Razor. Actually, Gem Razor kills the Dead Weight, so that's wonderful. Yeah, no, Gem Razor's the easy choice. Totally forgot that Gem Razor actually can do some stuff. And now we have a 3/3 to block with, so we'll get in there. Flycatcher Giraffid, so now they have a big old 3/5 to block stuff. Gem Razor plus Ram Through will kill that if we attack in. And Ram Through makes it a safe attack, right? Unless they attack with all 3... Or if they block with all 3. If they block with all 3, it's not great for us. But we do get to kill all of their creatures. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that because we kill all their creatures, but ideally they don't block with all 3. If they don't, we're just going insane, redrawing our Ram Through with Lord Drakus. Then we'll block with those 2. So I have to shoot the Serrated Scorpion if I want Gem Razor to survive, which is fine because we bring it back with Lord Drakus. Which is wonderful. We get a 3/3 and get a Ram Through back. And a Boot Nipper, probably getting Death Touch here. Yep, that's a 2/1 Death Touch now, so we'll probably just ram through that. We get to hold up a Keep Safe to keep our Gem Razor safe. I didn't mean to say it like that, but I guess I did. That works out. Just get rid of the boot nipper right now. We also do a bunch of damage to them because it has trample. They can block with 4 toughness against the Gem Razor, so I don't love attacking in with it here. If I play a Lord Dracus, I get ram through back again. So then I could attack in. I think I'm just going to hold on to our keep safe here for now. I think I'd like to play an Ivy Elemental that's like a 5/5 and try to start attacking him with that. Honey Mammoth, now they have a 6/6. Well, never mind. Definitely on blocks here for a little bit, but I think that our deck has great late game mutate shenanigans where if we sit here top decking, we can win. Kind of want to hold 2 mana up, which means that Ivy Elemental is a 2/2. It's not the end of the world if they shoot one of our things. They definitely would have used a removal spell earlier if they had one. So we would just be playing against them drawing a removal spell just immediately, like this turn. If they draw one later, we can keep holding up the keep safe. Because now we can throw Cloud Piercer onto this Ivy Elemental and just have a massive, massive attacker. Ooh, Glowstone Recluse to get a ton of value by getting a bunch of +1/+1 counters onto the Fertilid, so they can use all those +1/+1 counters and turn them into lands with that 2 mana ability if they want to just keep drawing a ton of lands. So I'm going to play a Cloud Piercer here, I think. I'm going to mutate it onto Ivy Elemental to have, what, a 9 toughness attacker here? Yeah, that seems absolutely absurd. Could also put it on Gem Razor. What do I do if I put it on Gem Razor? I get another 3/3 and I bring back Ram through. I guess even a 9-power attacker just gets double blocked by those two right now. I do really want to bring Ram through back. Maybe we throw Lord Dracus onto Ivy Elemental and bring back Ram through, and then we have a 7/8. That's big enough to ram a thing. We have a 7/8, so we can shoot the Honey Mammoth or the Glowstone Recluse. And then if we mutate again, bring back Ram through again, we can attack in next turn. I think we shoot the Glowstone Recluse, because that can get bigger later. But I don't think we attack in against a 6/6 and a 3/5. They are going to go ahead and get a land. We get to hold up keep safe this way to keep our 7/8 warm and tucked in. All cozy. Alright, now we just slam down Cloud Piercer Ram through and just slam in an attack here. If they block there, they take 10 plus... They go to 1 life if they block a 3/3 here. So we just slam in with everybody, excuse me. So block the 3/3, or block the 10/9, and we'll see what they draw into. But I think we're doing pretty good here, unless they have like an ultimatum in their deck. Unbreakable Bond, bring back that Honey Mammoth, gain a bunch of life, and... give it lifelink, but Frostlink's here to shut that down is going to be lethal. Really absurd stuff from the deck again here. And there's the concession from our opponent. Unfortunately, with that 1 loss, it is impossible for us to hit diamond this draft, but still 5 wins thus far. A great run regardless. See if we can get to 7 now. We still have 2 losses before we're out of it. All right, what is this, round 7 now? 5 wins, 1 loss? I believe so. Double Lord Dracus, we do have 3 of those. We're going to see them a lot. We do need a blue mana pretty badly here, but we've got 2 lands in hand no matter what. This one feels exceptionally risky to me, though, because if we don't hit a blue mana, we need to hit 4 mana total to get that Bristling Boar out. Ooh, I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. This one is not much better, but we only need 1 green mana to hit a Gem Raiser, and we do have more green than our other colors. It's not as hard to hit. At 4 mana, we do get Cloud Piercer mutated onto something. Actually, we need 4 mana total to get Gem Raiser. Yeah, this is basically just as bad. I don't think I can afford to mulligan to 5, so I am going to keep this one, getting rid of Cloud Piercer. Yeah, because we're not going to be able to play that until after we've played our 4 mana card. Anyway, we draw into a Frost Lynx that we cannot cast right now. A little worried about the prospects of this hand. Maybe we should have just kept the initial opener, but I definitely don't think that it is worth mulliganing to 5 unless your hand is completely unplayable in Limited. Unless it's straight up just like no lands or all lands. Mulliganing to 5 is super, super rough. So, Ivy Elemental as a 2-2 here seems fine. Our opponent is on red, white, and black with a Spell Eater Wolverine as their first creature. 3-2 that gets double strike when they have more instants and sorceries in grave. So we can block that and trade for it right now, but if they play some stuff, that'll be a massive threat later. They do have a Fire Prophecy to just kill the Ivy Elemental. Definitely not good for us, but if we had a blue source, Frost Lynx is also big enough to trade with that. We do hit a Starix, which is going to be absolutely absurd if we can make it to the late game here. My concern is that we won't be able to. Red, black, and white, all pretty aggressive colors. I'd expect more cheap creatures and cheap removal are available to them if they wanted them in the draft. Bushmeat Poacher, not the most aggressive start, so I think we're still doing fine. Playing a 4-4 is going to be big enough to block any of this stuff, so I think that is the play here. Preferably this doesn't get blown up immediately, because then we can actually cast a removal spell. Unfortunately, our removal does require us to have a creature out. Alright, they do just have the Blade Banish for that. Take 5 down to 9. We're hurting here. We've got the Rumbling Rock Slide so we can kill the Spell Eater Wolverine, because that is a 3-2 that's about to be a double striker. They have 2 instants in their grave already. If they get 1 more, it'll double strike. I think it's really important to kill that. We could also cast a Frost Lynx here to tap it down and kill it later, but I just want that gone as soon as possible. Because Frost Lynx doesn't help us block the 2-4 at all anyway, so we're taking just as much damage. And now, potentially, if we hit 5 mana, we can cast Frost Lynx and mutate Lord Dracus onto it. And doing that could be a pretty big swing. We can also cast Ivy Elemental and mutate Lord Dracus onto it so that we can bring back the Rock Slide. So we can kill this Helica Glider. We also get a 3-4 blocker that way. I think that's about as good as we can do here. We can play Frost Lynx and have a 2-2 on the ground that taps that down. But then we can't block the Poacher, so we're taking 2 anyway. If we play Ivy Elemental and bring back Rock Slide with Lord Dracus, we have a 3-4 on the ground, so we can block the Poacher. We just take 2 in the sky instead, and then we know we have removal for Helica Glider, even if they kill our creature. I don't think our prospects are that good this game, but I still think this is our best chance at survival here. Yep, just another removal spell. So we're going to take a bunch here down to 3 life. The Poacher has Menace as well, so we need 2 creatures to be able to block that, so our odds are super low. Yeah, we're just out of it now. I guess we survive 1 more turn because we do have the Rock Slide. I think our best Best draw there would be just any land so we can Frostlings, tap down the Poacher, and then use a Ram through to kill the Helicoglider. As it stands, we're either tapping one down or killing one here. It's the only way to survive. Tapping one down, actually. Yeah, either way, we're taking damage here. I think I'd rather kill the 2/4. Because if we draw the 5th land, Frostlings is big enough to ram itself into the Helicoglider and kill that, but it's not big enough to kill the 2/4. Alright, they just have the Mutate card to do the 4 damage here, so that is going to close this one out. Not much to say on this game. Just had a little bit of a rough, little bit of a slow start, and our opponent had a nice aggressive start to counteract that. Tried our best, did our thing. Just definitely cannot win them all. And that will put us to 5-2, so any game now could be the last game, so we gotta fight tooth and nail to get these last couple wins if we want to make it to a 7-win run, but no matter what, being able to hit that 5 wins is pretty solid. So, will not be disappointed whatever happens here. Okay, we have the Humble Naturalist turn 2. That gives us whatever color of mana we need for our creatures. Doesn't help us cast Primal Empathy, but it helps us mutate onto these cards pretty easily. We can play Humble Naturalist turn 2. That makes sure we can play Dracus turn 3, Cloud Piercer turn 4. If we hit 1 land by that time. I think I'm going to keep this one for sure. If our Humble Naturalist gets blown up by any form of removal, it's going to be pretty sketchy for us, but otherwise I think hand looks pretty solid. Drawn to a Boon of the Wishgiver. Worst case scenario, we get to cycle that to dig a little more towards our lands. So that seems solid. I think that's almost definitely what that'll end up doing here, but if our Humble Naturalist doesn't die, we're going to be spending all of our mana on our creatures for a while. Bastion of Remembrance, get a 1/1 out, and whenever their creatures die, they drain us for a life. We do have 4 mana available for creatures now thanks to this forest, but of course we need blue mana to cast the Dracus. So we can play Ivy Elemental as a 3/3. Yeah, I like that a little bit better than the Lore Dracus here, because then we're just playing a 2/3 getting no value out of the Mutate effect. This is a slightly bigger creature, and this is a great card to mutate onto because you keep those +1/+1 counters on either of these. It may as well just draw removal here, though. We will see. If it doesn't, our Ram Through is active, being able to do 3 damage at instant speed to any target. It's definitely nice. I'll trade this 3/3 for whatever Death Touch spell that they have, because as we've seen before, our deck can play some really large creatures. So if we get a Death Touch card or Combat Trick or anything out of the way to kill a 3/3, I think that's a net gain for us as long as we can make it to the high mana costs. I think the biggest concern here is if we don't hit the mana we need to keep getting to those higher mana costs. And then it may have been better to just keep the 3/3 out. You just give them indestructible. And plus, so I had to spend 2 combat tricks to win that fight. So I think that's a net gain for us. Pretty okay with that. Thanks to hitting a land, we can just hard cast a 5/4, which is going to be a great blocker here. Definitely our best play for that turn. We're very far off from having the blue mana that we need for Boon of the Wishgiver. We don't even have the first of the 2, so we are almost definitely cycling this pretty soon. Although if we hit a blue mana next turn, we just cast Primal Empathy, hold up a Ram Through, and then, maybe we draw into the blue mana with Primal Empathy drawing us cards again. Boot Nipper. I assume that's going to have Death Touch here. Usually the better ability. Sometimes you are in an aggressive mirror though. And giving a big old mutate card lifelink can be massive. So you play this turn 2 and mutate something big onto it later. Ooh, Deadweight to turn Cloud Piercer into a 3/2. So if I play a block on a Serrated Scorpion, it'll be a trade, and then they have 3 power on the board afterwards. And they drain us for 3 life if we trade with the Scorpion. I think I don't block here because Humble Naturalist is big enough to block the Scorpion without dying. So we can just block that every turn other than this. Every turn that we're not playing a creature with Naturalist. So I think we just go to 15 here. Save the 3/2. We'll probably trade that into the Death Toucher though. Do hit another mana, not a blue, so I am just going to immediately cycle Boon here. Bristling Boar's not bad. Is that better than holding up a Ram through? I guess mutating with Lord Drakis does give us quite a bit of value now because we get that Boon back to use it later. Or just immediately cycle it again. I think we play a Bristling Boar. Bristling Boar's 3 toughness, so it can block Serrated Scorpion, kill it without dying. So we trade with Boot Nipper, Bristling Boar blocks Scorpion, and we've got blocks for everything here. And even if they kill the Bristling Boar, we can block the Scorpion with our 1/3 instead. Garrison Cat, a little 1/1. Bastion of Remembrance is pretty scary this game. They have a lot of creatures out, and they're going to be draining us life a lot here. We do get a life gain land, though. That is really solid. We can ram the Scorpion. They can only block with 1 creature whenever we attack with the boar, so we could start getting in there, but I am kind of scared about my life total. Would I rather even play a 2/3 here? I don't think so. I think I really just want to hit a blue, so I'm going to actually mutate onto Bristling Boar, put it under, pick up the Boon, and just cycle it again immediately. Hit a Frost Lynx. We can play that thanks to Humble Naturalist. It's actually super solid. Let's get that out here. Tap down Serrated Scorpion. We get to attack with Bristling Boar, kill one of the 1/1s. Do get drained from the Bastion. They could also just not block and take 4, because they are at 27, so they got plenty of life. But now we're just stopping 1 damage by blocking with Bristling Boar, because they only have 2 1/1s to attack with. So we'll send in the attack. Zagoth Mamba. So if they get any mutate cards, this is going to be pretty bad for us. That'll kill our Frost Lynx for sure. Maybe something else. We do have a ram through though to go ahead and kill that before they draw into any mutate. Seems solid. We did get the blue source for Primal Empathy. That is what we were digging for, and I'm happy to have it now. I'm going to go ahead and just kill that Mamba right now. Well, I think we can wait. We can respond to them trying to mutate, right? I think we can. If they don't mutate, like just killing a 1/1's pretty bad here. I think now we're just sitting behind the Primal Empathy and waiting to draw into some big creatures to be bashing in. Necropanther. Yeah. Let's just not with that. So yeah, we can kill it in response before they get the mutate trigger, so now they just get a 3/3. It doesn't get rid of whatever you're trying to mutate onto, but it does stop the triggered ability. It's not as good as responding to auras, but you still get to save your Frostlinks in situations like that. And there, not only did we save our Frostlinks, we stopped them from getting back a Boot Nipper, so stopping the mutate there was really good. Because those were 2 very good mutate effects for them. What's on our Bristling Boar? A Lord Drakis. We do have Ram Through and Boon in grave. So if we had any mutate cards, that'll be great. Trumpeting Gnar, there we go. This is going to be a huge mutation here. Phenomenal pickups. Now we can kill Necropanther before they try to mutate onto it with anything if we want. Go ahead and just do that right now so I can attack with Bristling Boar, because they can only attack with one creature. Or they can only block it with one creature, so they can't kill it. They have to just chump block wherever they want, and now we have the blockers to block anything they have. I am genuinely worried that Bastion of Remembrance can just kill us here, just by chump blocking all game long. But right now they don't have enough. It drains us for 1 every time, so we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Drains us for 6 right now, so we're at 8 after they've blocked with all of their creatures. It also gains them 6, which is pretty big. So Gem Razor would be a beautiful draw here, clearly, because we would be able to destroy the Bastion of Remembrance. But even without it, just getting a bunch of big creatures, we could get there. They do draw a second Necropanther to bring back a Boot Nipper here to get a Death Toucher to block Bristling Boar. It's pretty bad for us. I don't think it was worth holding Ram through for during their turn, though. I guess it would have panned out pretty well, because then they would try to Necropanther onto their Necropanther. We kill it response, they don't bring a Boot Nipper back. But yeah, no, we should have held on to Ram through. Should have held on to Ram through there. But I still get good value by mutating onto the cat, because then we have to kill a Garrison cat just to stop them from getting mutate triggers. Ooh, now the Boot Nipper does not matter, because we're going to get flying. And still, of course, keep making 3/3s to block all day long. Bring back that Ram through again, kill that Necropanther again. We even have a Keep Safe to counter something that targets Bristling Boar. So now we just hit them for 4 a turn. They can't even block it and gain life with the Bastion. And I'm actually going to hold on to the Ram through now. I think I've learned my lesson. We'll respond to them trying to mutate if we're planning on killing like that Necropanther here. Splendor Mare. 3/3 lifelinker. They've got a lot of lifelink going on here, so it's going to take quite a while to kill them with Bristling Boar at this rate. Just going to take like every trade they offer here. 2/2 into the 2/1 instead of one of the 3/3s. But we'll trade the 3/3 into the Necropanther if they offer that. And if they attack with Serrated Scorpion, because it has lifelink, we're just going to get it out of the way, kill it with our 3/3 rather than blocking with a 1/3. Alright, we're going to go to our turn. I guess we would just trade our 1/3 into the Boot Nipper if they did that. Yeah, still no reason to ram through. We'll just hold on to it. We've got plenty of mana here to afford to do that. Ooh, another Lordrakis. But the only thing we'd bring back is Boon of the Wishgiver, and I don't have enough cards in my deck to really want to bring that back right now. I think I'm going to hold on to the Lordrakis until I've used Ram Through again. I guess I could just Ram Through right now, and then hold on to Lordrakis. And then cast Lordrakis to hold on to it again. Yeah, sure, why not? Get rid of that Necropanther. Mutate onto the Bristling Boar. Pick up the Ram Through. Pick up the Boon, because we've got 2 Lordrakises on that thing. Down to 15 cards in deck. We're hitting for 4 a turn. Just going to hold up my 4 mana here so that I can Ram Through and keep safe. I probably will cycle the Boon. I'm definitely not going to cast it to draw 4. I mean, we could, but I am scared about my deck count here, down to 15. They've got a lot of life drain, life gain stuff, so it's going to take a while to kill them. I guess it shouldn't take that long, especially if we draw 4. Risk reward here. Do we draw 4 cards, go down to like 10 left in our deck? If we mutate an Auspicious Starix onto something, we're really going to have a low deck count. If we mutate it onto here. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Do I ram through? And if I do, what do I ram through? I could kill Boot Nipper and now we attack with a bunch of things. If I ram through right now, I think I'm going to go for the boon next turn and we just go mad aggro. Like slam that Boot Nipper, get the Death Touch out of the way, then we can just start sending in with all the 3/3s. Let's do it. Draw into another Lord Drakus and a Flame Spill. We can even Flame Spill something away, then we can bring back all the removal. Now I don't need to boon because I'm just going to have a crazy amount of return spells here. Just get the most annoying creatures out of the way. And a crazy amount of card draw here. Shoot the Splendor Mare. They just have 2 1/1s now. Bam, just get in there. They can double block the 2/2. That's the best they can do here. And we could ram through in response if we're that worried, but yeah, this is just a huge swing. It was really great to draw another mutate card there. We're down to 6 after all of the life drain. We do have 12 cards left in the deck. We're drawing 2 a turn, but we do get there here well before we milled out. So we could have even cast the boon and drawn 4 at some point there. So 6-2 now. So we do make it to a final boss in this draft. 6-2 it is. No matter what, we're getting more gems than it costs to play. $750 to enter the event. So very happy with our record this time around in the second return to the quick drafts of Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. So here we are ramping into the final boss. Final round, win or lose. We'll be 7-2, or we'll be at 6-3. Pretty pumped here. I gotta say, the return to the Ikoria drafts have been pretty good. I don't know if it's because people haven't drafted it in that long, so maybe cycling's underdrafted right now, or maybe the bots really are designed to draft cycling cards so heavily that it doesn't become just by far the most prevalent deck you end up against. But I haven't experienced that much issues there. I feel like we played against this opponent in this exact same draft already. I don't remember what they were playing, though, but I think I remember that name. If not, we definitely played against them in yesterday's draft, the one I recorded right before this. This is a definite keep here. We get to grab a blue source with Evolving Wilds, then we have all of the colors we need. Just drop that immediately. We also have Migration Path to ramp up. Oh, please tell me it's not the cycling player again. That would be rough if we get 3 losses and 2 of them are against the same deck. Oh, it's the red, white, black player. I don't remember if we won or lost against this player. All right, we're going to curve out into our Bristling Boar, because now if we draw another card, we can throw a Trumpeting Gnar, like mutate a Trumpeting Gnar out, and to spit out a token. If we don't draw another land, we can also mutate a Cloud Piercer. Actually, if we draw another land, we might just want to cast a 5/4 here. Just curve out quickly with Humble Naturalist by mana ramping with it. Storm Wild Caprador. So if they deal damage to that, it gets really big if non-combat damage would be dealt to it. So we need to make sure not to use a Flame Spill on it and not to use a Rumbling Rock Slide on it, because that will, both of those will end very badly. It'll just become really big. So with Cloud Piercer, we can mutate out a really big blocker. I don't think we want to do that. I'm actually probably going to attack with Bristling Boar and then just cast Trumpeting Gnar, because we can't mutate anything this turn. I mean, we can mutate a Cloud Piercer, but that does 1 more damage. I'd rather play this as another attacker, I think. Unless we have a creature like Trumpeting Gnar out, then we can mutate Cloud Piercer onto the Gnar and get a lot of value that way. Bonder's Enclave, so they can draw a card if they have a large creature out. So Cavern Whisperer onto the Stormwild Caprador, so they have a big old 4/4 Flying Menace. We have enough mana to play everything now, so I think I'm actually just going to discard Migration Path. Actually, no, we're 1 mana away from being able to cast everything. We can cast Cloud Piercer on the Mutate because of Humble Naturalist. Can't cast Rock Slide because Naturalist only casts creature spells. But if we draw the 1 more land to where we can cast Migration Path, we can just cast Rock Slide anyway, then we can cast everything. So we're going to take 4 here and just slam them back for 8. Seems solid to me. Actually, we're going to slam them back for 7 so that I can play a 5/4 and spread out my threats as much as possible, get as much damage on this board as possible. We can Flame Spill or Rumbling Rock Slide any other creatures that they play, although unfortunately with that prevent damage effect, we really cannot kill that. With our removal in this deck, all of our removal is damage based, so it would just turn it into an even bigger threat. But if they just attack in here, because they have Menace, they can attack past the Cloud Piercer. If they just attack in here and then play like 1 or 2 other blockers, we're in a great spot because they're at 10 life, so we can hit them really bad on the crackback if they're expecting to be able to block and then they can't. We could even kill them immediately if they only play 1 blocker. Night Squad Commander, that is 2 blockers. Flame Spill does damage them as well as get rid of a blocker though, so if we Flame Spill on the 1/1, we do 3 damage to them. That puts them to 7. They block there and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Flame Spell could do this if they don't have a combat trick here, thanks to it damaging them and the creature we killed. They block the 5/4, take lethal. That might be 7-2, and it looks like it is. Another 7-win run out of the Ikoria drafts. Great start to the return to this format. Great drafts all together, putting us really close to the diamond rank this season. Let's go ahead and see what our prizes are today. But what a fun deck there, really going crazy with Auspicious Sturix and a lot of the mutate shenanigans a lot of times. So looks like our packs are another Mythic wildcard. Really good luck in the packs too. We got one of those last draft. And last but not least, Everquill Phoenix, another fun kind of mutate synergistic card. This one keeps giving you feather tokens that you can use to keep bringing your Phoenix back onto the field. So another cool, fun mutate card, definitely very flavorful with what we were doing in our deck. So that is going to end today's video. As always, like I say at the end of the videos, if you want to help support the content, you can like, comment, subscribe, all of those things that let the YouTube algorithm know that you're interested in the content and you'd like it to recommend it to yourself and others in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much all the little YouTube-y shoutouts I got to say. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching as always, and I'll see you again very soon for some more Magic Arena.